Let's say you're at a bus stop and there's a person sitting there and they obviously have nothing with them. They're not carrying anything, they don't have a water bottle, they don't have anything, and they say, "Hey, I'll give you some water," which you can see obviously that they don't have, and you just drink some of it, and then you'll be good, like forever. You won't be thirsty ever again. You would think maybe they have a problem with reality, possibly. And I wonder if that's what this woman thinks who Jesus meets in our passage today, in John chapter 4, verses 7 through 15. A woman from Samaria came down to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God, and who it is that is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob? He gave us the well and drank it from it himself, as did his sons and his livestock." Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. The water that I will give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." The woman said, "Sir, give me this water so that I will not be thirsty or have to come here to draw water." So if you saw last time, I talked about Jews and Samaritans and how there was a lot of history there, and those two groups of people definitely didn't like each other, and Jews generally thought that Samaritans were substandard, like they had kind of sold out and were not someone that you would want to be around. In fact, they considered them unclean. So right from the start of this conversation, this woman identifies Jesus as being one of these people who probably would judge her. Now, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but have you ever been around a group of people that didn't know that you were a Christian and then found out that you were, and all of a sudden they stop swearing or they get really self-conscious, and their instinct is that, "Oh, this person's going to judge me now." And that's a barrier. That becomes like a relationship barrier. And there was a similar thing with Jesus and this woman, only even greater because of all that history. And so he asks her for a drink, which is a big deal because part of that cultural unclean thing would be that a Jew who thought that a Samaritan was a dirty kind of person wouldn't want to drink from something that they owned or touched. And Jesus openly welcomed that. So he's trying to break down those that social barrier to her, and being able to have a conversation with her, and being able to not feel like she's being judged by him. But, sometimes these things take time. And after they go through that exchange, he's like, "Well, you should have asked me for water." And she's like, "You don't have anything to get water with, otherwise you wouldn't have asked me. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, I would have given you living water." Ooh, boy. So that could have just meant in their language running water. But if you go back in Old Testament scriptures, there's a lot of references to water in a spiritual sense. And I'm just going to read one of them quickly from Psalm 42. "As a deer pants for flowing streams, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come to appear before God?" So there's this sense of spiritual thirsts. And Jesus was alluding to that, but she still thought he was talking about literal water. And then his things that he said made no sense. But he was saying that I am the source. Jesus is the source to quench spiritual thirsts forever. And he was trying to point her in that direction. And you could take her words that she says, "Give me this water, that I will never be thirsty again." You could take her to be serious. a lot of times when I read this passage, I don't think she is yet. It's one of those things. We don't know what tone of voice she used. We don't know if she was serious or sarcastic. We'll see the kind of response she eventually gives to Jesus, but I feel like she's probably still pretty skeptical of this weird guy at this point that she met at a well in the middle of the day. And I think she's just trying to maybe blow him off. It's like, oh, give me this water. If you give it to me, I don't have to come back here ever again. Wouldn't that be nice? You weird guy, maybe you should leave me alone. But thankfully, the conversation doesn't stop there. And we'll see how it progresses and how Jesus eventually gets her to understand his living water and what he really has to offer her and to all of us.